evidence of knowledge is out of company. Wealth cannot be said to have been created until value has been exchanged. In other words, the essence of business is to trade your values so that you solve societal problems while making money off of it. If your culture supports you to look for money without creating value, you know you'll be doing the wrong thing without feeling guilty for it. When you are surviving, your life is at stake. In survival, what is at stake is your life. In success, what is at stake is your resources. Now, people are saying the fuel is high, the prices of things have gone up, inflation is over the roof, Naira has been devalued and depreciated, but some people are still making it and living well. One of them is learning. Learning makes you see how stupid you were the last minute, and learning makes you wise the next minute. A man's physical state cannot improve until you alter the state of his mind, especially getting him to believe that he deserves more. A man's physical state can never improve unless you alter the attitude of his mind, especially making him believe that he deserves more than he is already. Deserves more than he is, not deserves more than he has. There are so many people that have a lot of possessions, but the quality of their life is a mess. So first of all, in all of your achieving, the most important state or result is operating in your full capacity. Okay, I'm a philosopher first. I'm just a philosopher that knows how to make money. I am a monk that knows how to make money. If you ask me, I wouldn't live in Lagos. I'll live in the remotest part of the universe just to interact with life, interact with nature, interact with God without any distractions. But I know that if I do that, how can people learn from me the things I have gone and the things I've learned with my relationship with the universal consciousness of things. So until a man's physical state cannot be improved upon unless you alter his mental attitude, especially letting him know that he deserves more than he is, that he deserves more than he is. And I said earlier that a lot of people get caught up in trying to acquire more things, ignoring the act of becoming more. The whole essence of all of this life that we are living is that you live a fulfilled life. That's the whole essence. Okay. And I also, of the concept that the reason why people die for the act of making money is because they don't know that money doesn't deliver what it promises. But when you have money, and I say I want everyone to have a lot of money. The reason why I'm also going out there teaching people how to improve the quality of their businesses, and the quality of their lives, is that they can really have this money and find out that this money doesn't, deliver what it promises. You see people like Dangote, Tony Lumelu, people like Bill Gates, all of them going into humanitarian gestures, trying to give back to society, which is the ultimate purpose of making money. The ultimate purpose of making money is to improve the life better than you met it. Okay. So strategy is a syllable. It's a word used for military performance. Strategy is not first a business word. Strategy is a word for military operations. Okay, it's not a business. It's not a word that is developed for business. It was developed for war. So for you to use the word strategy, you have to think like a military man. You have to think like a soldier. In other words, what that meant is the military people, they look at the entire landscape of war. They come together to think about how to win before they start. They think about so many weaknesses and strengths to figure out the best approach to go about winning the war. So strategy is about winning the war before you engage in the battle. Write it down. Strategy is about winning the war before you start the battle. So victorious soldiers, great soldiers, win the war, okay, before they start the battle. Good soldiers start the battle and figure out how to win the war. So most importantly, it's about mental attitude, okay? It's about mental attitude. And there are three frameworks for strategy. The first one is vision, okay? The second one is mission. Okay. Vision being the what and the who, the what to achieve, the ultimate grand picture of what it is you are about, not what you're about to do. Vision is the ultimate grand picture of what you are about at the moment you're starting up a business, at the moment you're engaging in any venture. That's the ultimate picture of what you're about. Then mission is how you're going to deploy your strategy. Mission is about how you're going to achieve that grand vision. Okay. Mission is how the processes on how you're going to achieve the grand vision. And the last framework for strategy is value. What are the characteristics of your value proposition that you're not going to compromise in achieving the grand vision? Because a lot of people have become criminals in the pursuit of money. So it's not so much about how much you've made or not made. It is who you become in the process of making that money. I have seen people who go into kidnapping. I've seen people who go into robbery. All manner of things that is debasing to the human mind for the purpose of money. So when you finally make this money and find out you've lost your soul, you've lost your essence. So what's the point? As a coach, I remember one day I was having a conversation with a senator who is my used to be my mentee. He's a senator here in Nigeria, and he used to be my mentee. And as I was going through the purpose of business and the essence of money, he started crying in that conversation. You know what he said to me? He said, "Go, I have my boys, my sons, who come every night and they come back with prostitutes. And after sleeping with those prostitutes, they still send those prostitutes to come and collect money from him." So he is a very successful person in quote in terms of money, but his essence of life is not there. Okay, so values is where you separate the boys from the men. I know you're making money. I know you want to make $1 billion a year, but the question is, so who are you going to become in the process of making that money? Okay, so we're going to look at these things in vision, mission, and values. Okay, vision, mission, and values. This is the fulcrum, the fundamentals of building great business. Okay, so now write this down. Life does not reward you according to your effort. Life rewards you according to the knowledge and your effort. Write it down. Life does not reward you according to the activities you engage every day. Life rewards you according to the quality of knowledge, the quality of definition that you have behind your effort. There are so many people who are making efforts every day, but they're not getting the corresponding results. Tomorrow morning, some of you are going to get out there, go to church, go to mosque, whatever it is. On Monday, you're going to get out there, go to your businesses. Every day, people are in Lagos, hustling and bustling. Abuja, I was in the UK last month. Okay, everybody are just getting up in the morning trying to make it. But why is it that everybody that makes effort don't make it? Why? Why is it that everybody that makes effort, not everyone that makes effort, make it? Which means effort is a common denominator. If you're a poor man, you're going to make effort. If you're a rich man, you're going to make effort. The differential is the knowledge. The differential in activity is not the activity itself. It's the quality of knowledge behind it. So life does not reward you according to your effort. Life rewards you according to the quality of knowledge behind your effort. So that brings me to the concept of definitions. I want to write it down, okay? There are two levels of definitions. Number one is statutory definition, which is defining something for what it is. And the second one is operational or functional definition, which is defining something by reason of what that thing does. First one is statutory definition, which is defining something for what it is. And second one is functional definition, defining something by reason of what that thing does. Okay. Now let me give you an example. Right here is my crutches. Each time I ask people in class what this is, they always tell me is crutch. So I ask the male gender, the men in the class. If I ask every one of you right now what this is, all of you will agree with me that this is crutches. I ask Christians what this is, they tell me it's crutches. I ask Muslims what this is, they tell me it's crutches. I've asked Chinese people, Japanese people from all over the world, they agree with me it's crutches. But if I take this thing and hit someone by the head and I ask you what it is, what would you say it is? Definitely going to say it is weapon. See? But what is this meant for? This is meant for as a work aid to help people like me who is physically challenged to work better. So this is a working aid. That is the purpose of this particular stuff. But if I use it for something else, like hitting someone to death, the meaning changes, the more application changes, which means by operational definition, this is now a weapon. But listen to this. Watch this. This is originally designed to help me work. That's the concept of this item. The concept is for working. But if you are the first time you met this item, the very first time you met it, somebody was using it to build somebody to death, what would you call it? You will call it conceptually, you will call it a weapon, because that's the only time you have seen this in operation, which means you can meet a good concept in a bad context. Why? The only time you've met this, the very first time you saw this in use, you didn't see it for what it is meant to be used for. You saw it in a context. And because that's the only context, it becomes the only way you know about this. So in other words, if you have the people's concept of money is determined by their context of money. If you're born in a family where your parents are poor, wretched, and very, not doing well financially, they will form in that environment that your parents are poor and not successful. Whatever their relationship with money will affect your concept of money. So that's your initial concept. Your initial interaction with money was from people who are not successful. So that formed your original concept of what money is. Then as you're growing up at the age of 18, 19, 20, 25, you find out that concept is not helping you. That's most times people start seeking, mentorship, training, concept, because you now know everything you've ever known before 30 years is not giving you the result you want. In other words, I'm going to write it down. Your concept of things, your concept of knowledge affect your application of knowledge. So sometimes when I come into training to teach people, what if your concept is damaged about business? What if you grow up in a family, or your mom and your dad are civil servants? You would not naturally want to do business. Even if you want to, your concept is go to work in the morning, come back in the evening, wait for salary at the end of the month. You will never really see business as your thing. But what if you are raised in Dangote's house? What if you are raised in Tony Limelu's house? That the first time you came in contact with anything about work or business was from a father or mother whose ideology about business has affected your psychology when you're a little kid. You find out your approach. You would never dream about working for another man because your mom, your dad had businesses, and that could change your approach towards business. Now, what am I trying to say? Life does not reward you according to your effort. Life rewards you according to your definitions. And I said there are two levels: statutory definition and functional definition. So you that are watching me right now, what is the original concept that is running in your brain? You see? Now watch this. It takes knowledge to understand knowledge. So whatever I'm saying right now, there is a way you look at it. You have a context of life. You have a concept of life. So whatever I'm saying now, your mind is already colored by your own perspective, by your own mentality. So you're not really hearing what I'm saying, you're hearing what you're seeing. So in other words, you have to learn how to learn. You have to come to the point where you have an unbiased relationship with knowledge, because learning makes you see how stupid you were the last minute, and learning makes you wise the next minute. Learning makes you see how stupid you were the last minute, and learning makes you wise at the next minute. See, until what you know becomes what you do, you don't know anything. The evidence of knowledge is outcome. Kind of training all you want. You see, the proof of learning is an improved outcome. The proof of learning is an improved outcome. Okay, so two people can be in the same business, the same circumstances, the same resources. They will have two different results. Two people, like in this country right now, people are saying the fuel is high, the prices of things have gone up, inflation is over the roof, Naira has been devalued and depreciated, but some people are still making it and living well. One of them is me. I'm still closing deals. And before this point, I have built an asset base, both in investment and business, that even if inflation goes 200,000%, I'm still and above whatever the benchmark of error is, because it's a holistic understanding of the different fluctuations of business cycle. Everything is always fluctuating. So if you don't understand the concept of wealth, Holistically, even though you're in business, you still suffer. Because there are 4 cycles of a business. Businesses has 4 cycles. Vision has 6 cycles. So businesses operate in vision. Vision is what determines how you go about life. But business is a platform to express your value. So I'm going to define this. Now watch this. Business is a social responsibility to solve humanity problem while making money. Business is a social, get that what now? Business is a social responsibility to solve human problems while making money. So the essence of business is to develop a city. The essence of business is to help human mind, human body, human society to live better, to have better quality of life, to have better society. So business itself is not primarily about making money, but solving problem while you're making money. This is a country people want to make money without solving a problem. This is a country people want to make money without creating any value. And wealth, which is a bigger umbrella of business. Wealth is a bigger umbrella of business. Wealth can be said to have been created until value is exchanged. Wealth cannot be said to have been created until value is exchanged. In other words, the essence of business is to trade your values so that you solve societal problems while making money off of it. A lot of times, people get up in the morning, they just want to make money. They don't think about the corresponding activity, which is value creation, for which they're going to make money. You know why you do that? It's because you are born in a society, or you are born in a family, or you are born in a culture that exalts money without exalting the value for it. So somehow, you are doing the wrong thing without feeling guilty about it, because your conscience was tainted with the wrong values in the beginning. So if your culture supports you to look for money without creating value, you know you'll be doing the wrong thing without feeling guilty for it. And guess what? The universal law of life will not respect your effort, even though you are innocent about the consequence. So business is a social responsibility to serve humanity's problems while making money. In other words, wealth cannot be said to have been created until value is exchanged. The point is not that you're making effort. You guys, everybody in this room right now pretty much wakes up in the morning, get out there, bust your behind, try to make it. But why is the result not coming according to the quantity of the effort you make? It's because the credible quality of knowledge that's supposed to give you the result is not corresponding with the actions you're taking. So it's important to learn the art of definition, because it's only the reality you define that determines the approach you take. And I want to write this down. What you cannot define overwhelms you. What you can define, you can modify. What you cannot define overwhelms you. What you can define, you can modify. Okay? So just to give you a perspective, if I was born in 1973, I had polio when I was 1 year, 6 months. I have been on crutches for over 38 years. I've been walking on crutches over 38 years. Now I want to ask this question. If wealth is by physical strength, someone like me won't be a wealthy man. If wealth is by the pack of muscles I have, I wouldn't be where I am today. In other words, there's so many hard-working, lazy people. Write it down. Hard-working, lazy people. Why? Laziness is not a physical thing. Lazy is a mental thing. You could be hardworking, like I'm on top mainland. Most times I'm seeing people who are physically okay with 6 packs and they're selling they're selling gala. But these guys are 28, 30 with the pack of muscles, so bicep and all of that. But they're still working at the lowest level of human productivity. And there are people who don't have legs and hands, who are even blind. And they are generating the energy that is taking the rest of the world. Because laziness is when you are not able to read a book, attend a class, hold a thought long enough for that thought to become idea, for that idea to become value, for that value to become product and services for mankind. If you can't hold a thought long enough to process that thought to become idea of how to improve the quality of your activities, then you are a lazy person. How do I know you're lazy? You're putting so much effort, the result's not shown. How do I know you're not lazy? You're putting little effort, result is amazing. So write this down. Wealth is not in a place. Wealth is in people. Wealth is not in the UK. Wealth is not in America. Wealth is not in Germany. Wealth is wherever human beings live. Your ability to find the things you can give to human beings to compel them, to persuade them to part with your value is what wealth creation is about. So it's not so much about jackpot, you go into all these places trying to change locations. You can change location without changing your mindset. Whatever is pursuing you in your village will follow you to America and keep you there. If you don't have enough money, as I'm talking to you right now, if at this point in time you're over 25 years old and you don't have enough money to be at the convention, there's a chances that your poverty is catching up with your old age. I'll tell you why. Because it takes only 5 years to graduate from a university. If you've been on earth for 25, you should have graduated from trying to make it to the place of success. When you are surviving, your life is at stake. In survival, what is at stake is your life. In success, what is at stake is your resources. For example, I'm setting up a new business now. I was in Nigeria a couple of months ago, and a new company came into Nigeria, and I helped them set up in Nigeria. Another company called me. I went to Malaysia, signed a deal that runs into millions of dollars, and I'm helping them come over to Nigeria. And the things they need from me is not my life. They need my time and my knowledge. They don't need my life. There's no existential threat to who I am. Matter of fact, if I don't go out anymore from now to the rest of my life, my great-grandchildren are not going to worry about anything in life. In other words, you have built a system that generates income without your personal input. That the reason why I work now is the joy of work, the joy of my mind behaving like God. Because it is through work that the whole world can experience what you have. But if you're working for the sole purpose of making money, what you have is a job, not work. Because in work, we create value. In job, we trade other people's value. I want you to be so successful that you can give someone $1 million and you don't even remember money left your account. Can I get your hands if you like that? Like you could just give someone $1 million and you don't remember that money left your account. You give someone $1 million and you can mistakenly send somebody $1 million and you don't remember money because there is more millions coming in that is going out. Teaching brings awareness. Relationship brings discipline. Community brings wealth. Write it down. Teaching brings awareness. The best today can do for you is open your awareness of possibility. So teaching is not enough. Mentorship is where you take the principles you learned in teaching and observe the practice of those principles. Listen, when you practice a principle, it becomes a discipline. You don't need principle to be successful. You need discipline to be successful because anybody can cram all the principles in the world until you have practiced the principle, you don't have the discipline. I've seen intelligent people who are broke. Intelligent people who are broke. As a matter of fact, if I ask you to tell me what I said today, you're going to explain to me very logically and very powerfully, but would you practice what I taught you? Now, let me tell you, it is difficult to practice what you heard. It is easier to practice what you see done. So what you observe, you practice. If what you heard is enough, there's so many people talking on YouTube. Everybody's on YouTube. Everybody's on Instagram. You see all this motivational talk. Everybody's nuggets of thought. Those things you are hearing cannot change your life. The most it could do for you is become conscious of the possibility. But how many millionaires do you have in your life? You see every day. If you're broke right now, if you have an idea of a business, is there anybody in your life or your phone contact that is so successful that you can make a phone call? Hey, Mr. Ugo, I'm about to walk into this deal. What do you think? You don't have such people. 90% of the time, part of the reason why everything you've heard is not working because you have not seen the practice of what you heard. Oh God, somebody's not following me. Somebody's not following me. Somebody's not following me. I wish I can hug you right now and just open your head and just stop this right there. Kiyosaki, reach that part. Raise your hand. If you have read this book, reach that part. Raise your hand. Reach that part. Raise your hand. How many of you are still broke after I read the book? Because all you read is theory. All you read is theory. You are not in the same circumstance. You are not in the same space to see Kiyosaki practice what he's saying. Wealthy and rich. Wealthy and rich. Because it can be wealthy and broke. It can be wealthy and not be rich. For you to become wealthy and rich, you must have 3 levels of knowledge. You want to write it down. 3 levels of knowledge. The first level of knowledge you must have is revelational knowledge. This is a knowledge that comes from the Word of God. This is a knowledge that comes from the study of the Word of God. This is a knowledge that comes from your personal relationship with God Himself. That is not what was preached, is what you experience. There's a level of it that you can never get to until you have a personal relationship with the nature of God and the divine connection with God. At the level of revelational knowledge, what you receive at that time is vision. The second level of knowledge is theoretical knowledge, theory. Theoretical knowledge talks about strategy, process, and methodology, theory. Okay? In theoretical knowledge, you study what other men have done. In revelational knowledge, you receive an unction, an inspiration, and a level of being that only God can speak to you. That the knowledge you have, the inspiration you have, if you explain it to people, it doesn't make sense. No logical sense. If you say, I'm going to build the biggest organization in the world, and people look at your background, there's no evidence to support that statement. It means it's a visionary statement. But if you have a revelational knowledge that there's a level of connection to divine nature of God, okay, a level of knowledge that to divine nature of God, that revelation can still be frustration because you have no strategy to how to achieve that. That is why Joshua 1:8, look at this, look what it says. It said, this book of law shall not depart from your mouth, that you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written. The key word there is observe. This book of law shall not depart from your mouth. Book of law, law of wealth, law of life. The book of law, not Bible. Bible is a collection of books, but the collection of books for what? To give you the laws of life, the laws of wealth. This book of law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe, not listen. Not you have listened to the book of law, but you have not observed the practice of the book of law, that you may observe to do according to all that is written. And for then, condition, for then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have a qualified success that is called good. So it's not enough. Don't take it away. Now, the key word I want you to see, observe. Observe means to see the action taken based on a principle that is written. So Joshua, who was following Moses, was not just reading the script. He saw Moses demonstrate the thing that was written in the script. So how many of you have read Kiyosaki book, you've read John Maxwell book, but you have not seen the things practiced before? So you can cram all you want. I've read 14 books. And so what? How many of what is in the book have you done? Because there are certain things you can never learn until you practice what you read. For then you will make your way prosperous. And then you will have success that is called good. For then you'll make you prosperous. Prosperous is not having money. Prosperous is having a good life with the corresponding money attached to it. Everybody has a brain, but not everybody has a mind. The brain you can touch. You can open my head right now and see a gray matter called brain. Dogs have brain, goats have brain, dead people have brain, but not all humans have mind. Mind is the consciousness of the presence of that power in you. If you are living on earth, you're over 25, 30 years old, 60 years old, and you're still subject to the lack of this earth, it means your mind is not working yet. Because when your mind is working, we don't touch the mind, we only see what the mind creates. The evidence of mind is the things you've created. The evidence of mind is the things that we, for example, the cars that people like building are minds. Not a strategy factory is the product of the mind of Ezekiel. So I don't have to argue with Ezekiel. I see the things he's creating. I know his mind is functioning. But there are people who are as old as Ezekiel. They have nothing physical to show that their mind is working. The only thing I see is a big old head on a shoulder that is not working. Tell yourself, don't get angry, get rich. Don't get angry. Let me tell you, and I'm going to say something very quickly, right? Listen, the earth, E-A-R-T-H, the earth is a material place. The earth is a material place. One of the evidences to show your brain is working, your mind is working, is the material things you have created out of your being. So stop pursuing material things. Stop pursuing the things that you want. Start creating the things that are from the inside. You wouldn't need strategy if you don't have a vision. So no one on earth succeed in isolation. It's not possible. It's not possible. It is practically impossible. But what if you live in a community where there is no knowledge? You still be broke and poor. If you always have to have money, cash, to pay for anything, if you always have to have cash before you can buy anything, you are operating on the lowest level of financial pyramid. If you always have to have cash before you pay for anything, that's a level you get to. Your name opens doors. You put your word in, goods delivered. They can finalize later. They can what's called crystallize. They can process the transactions. For example, if Dango takes into Koshcharis today, he doesn't have to have cash to drive out the car he wants. He can drive up with the car he wants, and then later on they can crystallize the statement. Which means at the level where you are right now, where I am, I'm in several boards of companies. I get money. I get paid for showing up. Not even because I was going to do anything, because my name as a person adds value to the company. Okay. So in that context, you want to move from always having to have physical cash before you buy anything to a level where your name can open doors and credibility happens for you. In other times, people say they have vision. What they have is an illusion, because the evidence of vision is what it makes you do at the moment. Okay? So in creating wealth, you must have wealth education. Wealth education is your fundamental right. Wealth education. Thank you, Thomas. Oh. Wealth education. Most of us has not been wealth education. For me. 4 logic of wealth education. Logic number 1 is the logic of wealth creation. 4 logic of wealth education. Logic number 1 is the logic of wealth creation. What is logic? Logic is the fundamental sequence of thought and action that leads to a predetermined outcome. What is it again? Logic is the fundamental sequence of thought and action that leads to a predetermined outcome. So when you see a software, people write, there are logic about a software. When you want to cook a soup, a goosey soup, there's a logic for cooking a goosey soup. When you want to build a house, that's a logic for building a house. It's not a guesswork. Most of you are doing guesswork in your business. You don't have the logic of creating wealth through your business. Okay? Wealth creation is talking about you must be able to take your virtues and convert them to values and convert them to products and services. So the logic of wealth creation says your value must turn to products and services. That's what the logic of wealth creation says. The values, the virtues you have, the virtue of love, the virtue of faithfulness, the virtue of integrity, the virtue of honesty, the virtue of kindness, the virtue of transparency. All those things are virtue. Nobody pays you for virtue. People only pay for virtue when the virtue becomes products and services. Second logic is the logic of entrepreneurship. The logic of entrepreneurship says you have to learn how to improve the quality of services you have for the sake of improving the quality of services you have. So there are so many entrepreneurs who are not business people. They are passionate about their ideas. They are passionate about the product that they have, but they're not making money from the product. So an entrepreneur is someone that is crazily passionate about improving the quality of services that they have or improving the quality of the product that they have. Then that brings me to the third logic, which is the logic of business. This is crazy. The logic of business is thinking about how you can make the maximum out cash flow from the value that you have already created. The logic of business says, how can I make more money from the services and the product that I have created? That's the logic of business. So a businessman is thinking cash flow. An entrepreneur is thinking quality of service. So that's the difference, which means you can be an entrepreneur and still be broke. But a businessman is not thinking how wonderful the product is. He's thinking about how to connect the value of the product, no matter how bad it is, to be able to generate cash. So a business person is thinking cash flow. An entrepreneur is thinking improve the quality of my services. So many people are so passionate about their value, they forget to make money from it. And the fourth logic, is the logic of investment. Oh, I love that. I love that. The logic of investment is how can I take the money my business has made to acquire an asset that makes money independent of me. So an investment mentality is how your money can make money independent of your effort. These are the 4 logic of wealth education. Now, a lot of people are so good at the first logic, they lose out at the last logic. The logic of investment says, what are the things I need to do to acquire assets that makes money independent of my activity? Like I'm 50 right now. I honestly don't have to go to work any day of my life from now to the day that I leave this earth to be able to make money, because I have built a solid asset base, different investment classes that generate money independent of me. There's a new business I'm starting right now in Nigeria that's going to sweep the globe in an unprecedented way. It's going to be a unicorn business that's going to generate billions of dollars in this continent to the rest of the world. It's because I'm coming from a place of abundance. I'm not doing it because I want to make money, but there are values I have I need to give to the world before I leave. So in other words, freedom does not come from making money. Freedom comes from learning how things work. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you guys had a good time with me tonight. I love you. I doff my cup for you.